Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to our December M.S.W Long Beach meeting, our holiday awards and breakfast. We welcome everybody here, new participants, members, friends. We welcome you all to join us here this morning. Thank you, and I am Paula Cohen. I'm a senior attorney with Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles and also proud president of M.S.W Long Beach. I want to particularly welcome Assembly Member Bonnie Lowenthal, who has been a long-time supporter of M.S.W Long Beach and who has taken the time to be here in person with us this morning. We really appreciate that. I also want to thank Doug Halbert, our city prosecutor, also for taking the time to be here with us this morning and for support, ever since he's been in his position, supporting us in the work that we do. And of course, I'm very grateful to have Nikki and Helene here, and also to have Brenda here from Councilmember Patrick O'Donnell's office, 4th District. So thank you all for being here this morning. I also right now would like to thank our board members. The board of M.S.W Long Beach works really hard to bring us the very best in speakers and cutting-edge topics. And if you're at all interested to know the kind of speakers we have, we're going to show a short video in a few moments that just shows who we've heard from this past year. But I also want to thank our board members for providing our delicious breakfast this morning. They do this out of their own pocket. It's their gift to us once a year at M.S.W Long Beach. So please stand up if you're one of our board members. At this time, we'd like to show a very short video that just shows some of the topics and speakers we've had this morning.
But we wanted to make it clear that this was not just a training program, skills program about relationships, but also and mostly about a relationship with yourself, which is not something we think of very often, but we are all relating to ourselves all the time.
The battered women's movement, and I don't know, for all of you who've been around for a while, you know this, how many of you have heard 50% of all women will be battered in their lifetime? That was absolutely a stat that was given at almost every conference I went to for 15 years, and I stopped using it pretty quick because it didn't make sense to me. It just didn't make sense. And so, but that stat was used. And I said quite frequently, if we continue to use this stat, it is going to come back to bite us because it is incorrect.
One of the things I want you to keep in mind is that a lot of the folks that you're working with may be survivors of multiple traumatic events or circumstances by the time they come to your doorsteps.
Some of you know Paul Sharp. He's been on our board for many years. He's our webmaster extraordinaire, and he's also the one who, when he was here, used to take the videos, and we had little video clips from each of our speakers. But he's been living in Paris for the last, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 years, and he's been doing all the work behind the scenes. And I have the great pleasure every month of meeting our speaker at the front and welcoming them. And they're looking for Paul because they've had so much communication with Paul during the preparations. And then I have the pleasure of telling them, well, actually, Paul lives in Paris. Although he isn't here, please join me in thanking Paul for all the work he does behind the scenes. And then Assemblymember Lowenthal has to leave early, so I'm going to call you now so that you can make your presentations first. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Tory, I've been in your fan club since we worked together at Long Beach Unified, and it's a pleasure to see you again. I miss the work that we did. You know, Long Beach Unified lost social workers right and left during the recession. Currently, I'm still chair of the Women's Caucus, and we've worked on so much legislation to take care of women and to provide education and to prevent abuse. I've had several bills that do that over the years. I will continue to do that to the extent that I can, because some of you know I'm also running for mayor of the city of Long Beach this year. So congratulations, keep up the wonderful work, and look forward to seeing all of you soon.
At this time, I'd like to welcome the Associate Dean of Field Education at USC School of Social Work, Dr. Marlene Wong, to introduce Tory Cox to us. Please join me in welcoming.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I've had an accidental tour of Long Beach. It's a very lovely city, and I'm so happy to be here. It's really such an honor and a privilege to introduce Tory Cox, who is the Assistant Director of Field Education at the USC School of Social Work. And some of you know a lot about the School of Social Work at USC. It was established in 1922, and shortly after that I was a student there. So I've returned in the last 6 years to be Associate Dean, and really, really happy to do so. Tory came a few years ago, and he was just a revelation. You know, he came from being a school social worker at Long Beach Unified School District, and he was an instructor at Long Beach School of Social Work at Cal State. You did a really good job. He's fabulous. We love him. And he came into a very challenging environment. You know, USC used to be a small, big school of about 800 students. When I returned, I mean, when I went to school, it was 35 students, and they thought that was the largest class that had ever entered USC School of Social Work. And about 6 years ago, then there were 800. And now, Tory is assistant director for half of the school, all of our ground programs. The San Diego Academic Center, the Orange County Academic Center, the Skirball Academic Center, the University Park campus. And what that means in terms of numbers is we have 3,200 students of M.S.W. students all over the country, and half of those are Tory's students. You can read about his bio, but I guess when I thought about Tory and why I'd want to introduce him, it's because he's just such an extraordinary leader. And he teaches a leadership class, so I can't say too much about that. And I looked up a few things about what is leadership. And one of the oddest things I found was height, intelligence, extroversion, and fluency of language and thought. I thought, okay, a couple of those are really, you know, height, and intelligence, and all that kind of stuff. But I also looked up, and Peter Drucker said management, He's a leader, is doing things right, and leadership is doing the right things, and that's Tory. He does the right things, he's creative, he's bright, and he has charisma. I mean, he draws people to him, and they want to learn about his thoughts. I just want to say these last few things. If his parents are here, wow. You made a great kid. It's one parent to the committee. Great job, pick the right person. And to all of us in this room, aren't we lucky to have Tory as a colleague? Tory Cox.
And so Tory, from M.S.W Long Beach, we have this plaque for you. It's got a lot of words on it. He's done so much. It says, M.S.W Long Beach presents Tory and all of his title with its annual Abuse Prevention Award in recognition of over 13 years of training new generations of social workers dedicated to the prevention of child abuse and domestic violence as field faculty, adjunct lecturer, and field instructor for students at the USC School of Social Work, as well as at Cal State Long Beach, UCLA, and Cal State Dominguez Hills social work programs. Also in recognition of over 12 years as a school social worker with the Long Beach Unified School District, serving as field instructor for 28 M.S.W student interns, and as lead social worker for 4 years, he helped lead a team dedicated to prevention and intervention across the district through federally funded grant programs, community collaborations, attendance initiatives, and site-based direct practice. Also in recognition of service as the Standards and Practice Chair for the School of Social Work Association of America, President of the California Association of School Social Workers, and Board Member, CEU Coordinator for M.S.W Long Beach. To the U.S. House of Representatives, please join me in welcoming Helene Ansell from Congressman Alan Lowenthal's office.
It's a pleasure to be here. I enjoy coming each year and being able to see and hear from all the people and all the work that they do in this community that is just so important. This year, as many of you know, the Violence Against Women Act was reauthorized, and Congressman Lowenthal was able to speak on the floor in support and to co-sponsor H.R. 11. So this was quite a year. And now, Tory, it's nice to see you again. And on behalf of Congressman Lowenthal, the certificate of recognition is given in honor of being recognized by M.S.W Long Beach for your work in training social workers in the prevention of child abuse and domestic violence, and for your steadfast commitment to preventing abuse in our community. Thank you.
I'd like to call up our City Prosecutor Doug Halbert.
So much has already been said. I just want to present to you on behalf of my office. We appreciate what you're doing. Your mission is similar to ours, and I think we're all here for the same reason. And I just wanted to thank you and recognize you on behalf of my office.
Unfortunately, Brenda Kaloka had to get back to work, but she did send a certificate of recognition from 4th District Patrick O'Donnell Council Member's office. So we have that.
Thank you so much for this award. It's really humbling to look out and see a lot of people that I've worked with over the years. Damien Zavala, who's right next to my wife, he and I started working in 1992 for a group home called Etty Lee Homes for Youth. And here we are 20 some odd years later in different parts of social work, but having kind of shared a journey over the years. Of course, my parents were there from the beginning. And so, they laid the foundation, really, I think, for what has been just the driving force of my life, which is service, and that's because they were missionaries in South America for over 10 years, and in Central America as well. And so I grew up thinking that was just a normal way of life. And I think when you start off that way, the first 10 years, that's kind of your worldview. And so I thank them for laying that foundation for me. I like to say that the person who has had the single most influence in my life, other than my parents, would be my wife. And that's Dee Dee, right there. And so Dee Dee and I met back in 1987. She likes to say that was when she was 2 years old, but nonetheless, not true. But she's an amazing person who has really influenced me and helped kind of broaden my perspective. When I met her, I was a journalism major, and I worked for a newspaper as a journalist for 3 years after college. and then kind of found the light, so to speak. Wanted to return back to the roots. And so the journey then kind of continued into, we moved out here, and Cal State Long Beach became kind of a real family for me. Joy is here. Barbara was my first seminar instructor. I mean, I was green around the gills. I remember something, she may not remember this, but I told her, my wife has been in entertainment. So I went to the School of Social Work because I was going to be the therapist to the stars. I was gonna, turn around J-Lo or whatever. I was gonna do everything. And so Barbara took me aside and she said, "Tory, you might not want to talk about that too loudly here." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Well, we're really more of a community-based social work school than we are a therapist school." I'm like, "Okay." And at that time, I just nodded my head. I had no idea what it meant. But in the process of being in her seminar and being at Cal State Long Beach, I learned what that meant, that the needs of people are not taken care of in a 50-minute hour inside of an office necessarily, that we need to really expand beyond that and really work on all the issues connected to someone's life and how they function. And so she really opened the door for me, and I thank her for that. She also gives the most amazing hugs, which is really amazing. So that's awesome. So really from Cal State Long Beach, then it kind of launched. Julie O'Donnell was my thesis advisor. She is really the maven of school social work at Long Beach, and really has an influence across the state and the country. And so she could not be here today because she has something with her son in school. But she really guided me, and my first job came through her at Stevenson Elementary School here in Long Beach to help run the community school program. And that led to a gig with the actual district. And that ultimately led to all the work that I've been able to do with interns such as Cherie, who's one of the outstanding interns that I've ever worked with. And then, of course, under Tiffany's leadership, a chance to really influence a lot of people, just get involved in a lot of different things. I really feel like I've had families all throughout my career. And that's really what it's felt like, is that there are people supporting me all the way through. So then I sit there and I go, okay, I've got a situation here. The Great Recession is necessitating a change in my jobs. Okay, just leave it kind of like that. You can fill in the blanks. So I was teaching Cal State Long Beach, loved it there, but state recession, difficult. District not working out so well at that point. So, but like a cat, landed on my feet at the USC School of Social Work, and I got to tell you, what an experience that has been. I didn't really know what took place behind the walls of academia, and really what took place in field education. And that's actually a very apt sound for field education, is that there's often a sense of chaos that occurs around this idea of placing 3,200 students and keeping them in placement. And so with Marlene's leadership and this amazing team of folks who are here that have just been amazing colleagues, what I've found is, what most of you know, is that your life experiences really build you up to a point where you can use all of them in the job that is the right fit for you. And so my job is not really a job, it's a love, and I love going to work. I love the people I work with. They're amazing colleagues, and I learn so much from them. And here at M.S.W's Long Beach, I have another family. And so I was told that if I don't mention Erica and Ginny, that they're going to kick me out of the board. But anyway, so there you go. But this board here is phenomenal. You see the work that's being done each year. You can go on our website, see all the different trainings. And so I just stand here humbly accepting these awards and thanking you guys so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
And I really just want to add on behalf of M.S.W Long Beach that Tory has been on our board for many years, I don't know how many, but many times we have to lose board members when they have a change of job or a change of direction in their career, and Tory has stuck with us and with our work through all these different career changes. He's been with M.S.W Long Beach since he was in Long Beach Unified. Oh, and can you hold that up, Alex? That's gorgeous. Turn it around so everyone can see. So I just wanted to say, you're right, Alex, we love you too, Tory. We really appreciate the work you do at M.S.W Long Beach. Thank you so much. Our next recipient happens to be a colleague of mine who I love. I've worked with Dominique for many years. I've known Dominique since she was a social worker, I think with the Public Council and DCFS and all through law school, and I've really watched her blossom. I'm really thrilled that we can be honoring Dominique here this morning. And please join me in welcoming Michael Ortiz, the Directing Attorney of the Immigration Unit at Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles, who will introduce Dominique to us this morning.
Thank you, and good morning. It's really a unique privilege to be able to speak and introduce Dominique, because she has been an incredible force when she came at the Legal Aid Foundation of LA. You have to understand that at the time that Dominique came, Legal Aid Foundation of LA had pretty much just been focused on legal services, and there wasn't a social work program or social workers. But we as lawyers who were there were actually doing some of the stuff, is what I figured out after we started talking to Dominique and seeing some of the things that social workers do. We just didn't have the right tools, didn't have the ability to do it. So when Dominique came to Legal Aid some 6 years ago, right? 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we started to build on those ideas through Dominique in terms of how it is that you can work with individuals. And we gave her a tough job. I mean, no doubt about it. When she came in, we had just gotten a grant. We were working with the detainees, the immigration detainees over in San Pedro at Terminal Island. And we had a legal orientation program. Dominique came to us from Public Counsel, and we tasked her with coming up, setting up a program, working with the individuals at the detention center, giving them the orientation, figuring out their problems, figuring out what kind of resources existed, where they could be directed, and she hit the ground running on it. I mean, she worked in terms of putting together the manual, putting together the resources, identifying some of the issues that were coming up in terms of people who were suffering from mental health, finding people who were seeking asylum, and then figuring out where we could get resources for them also in terms of seeing them move forward. And this was something that was just phenomenal in terms of her ability to put together the resources and work with the individuals there. Unfortunately, the center closed down, and so then we shifted and did something else. And so Dominique worked with a self-help center where she's worked with a lot of domestic violence victims, where she provided them with the orientation and has been giving them the resources, assisting them in terms of completing the different paperwork that's needed on their behalf. We also are working, and what I like to say is that the immigration work that's done at Legal Aid Foundation of LA focuses on tiers, because the path to getting your green card, you've got blood, sweat, and tears, right? Family, work, hardship. And those are the cases that Dominique works on in a phenomenal way. We've got individuals who are the victims of domestic violence. We've got persons who are sexual abuse victims. We've got people who are coming from other countries who have suffered rape and torture of just all unimaginable kinds. And Dominique has been always able to deal with the clients in a very compassionate way, very professional way, get at the heart of the issues, find the resources for them, and assist them on their path in terms of what the next step is and get them stabilized. Of course, for many of our clients, it's a long journey. And all we're able to do at some point is to just put them in a little better place and then sort of point the way to them. And Dominique is an excellent person. So it is my pleasure to introduce, as the 2013 honoree, Dominique Quevedo.
So here's her plaque. It says, M.S.W Long Beach presents Dominique Quevedo with its annual Abuse Prevention Award in recognition of over 7 years of providing counsel and representation to victims of domestic violence and torture at Legal Aid, providing numerous presentations regarding immigration law, remedies for victims of domestic violence, and the impact of child custody disputes and asylum refugee law. providing social work, case management, and emotional support to numerous victims of torture, creating and helping to implement trainings to over 125 immigration officers regarding the effects of mental disabilities on the naturalization examination process, and 5 years of service in social work for the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services, preparing young clients for emancipation and reuniting families, December 12, 2013. And now if I could pull Helene back.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I just was listening about your work uniting families, and that is so important. On behalf of Congressman Lowenthal, in honor of being recognized by NW's Long Beach, providing counsel and representation to victims of domestic violence and torture, and also for your commitment to the preventing abuse in our community, and it appears that you have wide experience doing that in lots of areas and working with families. So, congratulations.
And then Doug Halbert, if I could invite you back.
Well, it's a pleasure to give you this commendation from my office. You know, my office works with you on U visas, which I know are very important. But I've also met you at all the women's shelter vigils. It seems like every time when we're marching, I'm marching with you, and then the next year I'm marching with you, and the next year I'm marching with you. It's like you're following me or something in a circle around town. But I just wanted to express my thanks for what you do. This is a big city. This is a big community, and it takes a lot of people. And we need all oars in the water rowing in the same direction. And I appreciate all you do on behalf of the City of Long Beach. I appreciate all you do for my office. I want to thank you for helping to further the mission of M.S.W. So thank you so much. Congratulations.
And once again, I have a certificate from 4th District Patrick O'Donnell, Councilmember Patrick O'Donnell's office. Brenda Kaluga, his staff member, was here earlier, but had to leave. And once again, I do want to thank Doug Halbert for taking the time, our Long Beach City prosecutor. I want to thank Assemblymember Bonnie Lowenthal for being here this morning, Nikki Tennant, her staff member who is here with us still, and Helene Ansell from Congressman Alan Lowenthal's office. Thank you all so much for being here this morning. Dominique, over to you.
You know, first and foremost, congratulations, Tory. It's just great to be in a room with so many folks who've done such amazing work, and quite the linear thinker. It's so logical. He kind of laid out just the seminal folks in his life, and I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm the girl who thinks like a quilt. You know, patches of things that come to mind when I am up here. It is quite an honor. I'm still the girl who is, you know, calling mom and dad and saying, look at this, look at that, and I'm, you know, in my 40s. They're in the Midwest, and they couldn't be here today, and so I just want to honor my mom and dad, Tom and Marcia, for their amazing care and being so proud of me. You know, I don't think I'll ever grow out of that. And you know, story of my life, I would not be up here, I would not be doing what I do if it were not for my wonderful husband of 17 years, Ralph, who is, as we speak, don't judge him, dropping kids off at different services and getting kids to school and sweating over the fact that he may not make it by 9:30. But I think that goes to show it's what we do in my household. We work as a team to kind of make this happen, and I would not be standing up here if it were not for Ralph, you know, farming out the kids like a deck of cards and getting everyone where they need to be. So I honor him publicly, and I just feel rich in friendship, and I think maybe that might be a theme that maybe you might share, Tory, and even all of us in this room. I feel rich in wonderful colleagues. So patch number 1 of my quilt. I just was thinking about it. I have, all throughout this journey, I think you said decades, Pete, and I thought, man, it really has been. I really am that old. Just friends and mentors who've mentored me along the way from my beginnings. Mara Ziegler, proud USC social worker and clinical faculty. You know, I was ridiculously green coming to a law firm. I didn't know what I was doing. It was sheer happenstance that, you know, your first year field, you get, you know, Did I say I was a Bruin? Wait, let me say it a little louder. I'm a proud Bruin. And don't get up and walk away, table, number 2. Okay, thank you. And Mara accepted me and brought me in, and I think skillfully helped to guide me as a social worker in a legal setting. And what the heck is that? And what do you do as a social worker at a nonprofit legal services agency? I see friends who have been there and colleagues who've been there all along the way, and they're here today, traveling from Pasadena, no less, traveling, as I'm sure at this table, traveling from all over Los Angeles to come and be here. And I just thank all of you for your care. What was I doing? Mr. Merkovich and Meg Morrow at Russell Merkovich and Morrow here in Long Beach. What was I doing at a maritime law firm? I don't know. But I did learn what to do. If you're on a Carnival cruise line and you fall and bump your head, whose fault is it? What do you do? All that good stuff. This social worker / attorney out of law school, I learned a lot from you, and you still to this moment support me, and I appreciate it. Public Counsel has been a wonderful organization. They, like Legal Aid, were visionaries in that they had social workers at a law firm from many years back, because we all understand in this room that legal issues are personal issues. Legal issues are not simply something that you go in and you check a couple boxes and you're out. It has to do with people and feelings and children and violence and experience. And all of that needs to be handled very carefully and very skillfully. I have been at the Legal Aid Foundation of LA for about 7 years now. And I love what I do. I think, like you, Tory, I kind of that rang true, and love going to work. I kind of grew up, and in my family I saw various extended family members who were brave and who were wonderful and who were bright, but they did not love going to work every day. And they had to. It's just what you did to put food on the table. And lucky me, I'm so blessed. So, I wasn't going to cry. Pardon. Thank you, Michael, for letting me do what I love doing. There's never, at Legal Aid, I love it, they never put the brakes on. It's not like, well, let's see, can we? It's always, let's find a way. Wow, that's a great idea. Let's help as many folks who are victims of violence, who are victims of torture, as we can. It's so broad and so expansive. I work with some amazing gals over here, Dalia, Nancy, Carolina, Desiree, Nayeli, social worker. They bang it out every day, and we do it together, and we're not alone, and I'm not alone, and that's why I'm up here, because I have a group of colleagues that stand by me and answer the 80 billionth question at 8:20 at night when we'd all need to get home, and like, what's for dinner? Oh yeah, who knows? All that stuff. That's what they do day in and day out. So what I would just say to all of us, let's all keep doing what we all do. I'm nothing special. I'm just like one of you, and we are all in this fight. I was reading the New York Times a couple nights ago. They did an amazing expose on, kids in poverty. And you get kids, my heart just bleeds. And 1 in 5 kids still living in poverty in the United States. They did an amazing expose on homelessness in New York. And, the provision that the United States provides is next to Romania in terms of the provision that we give to our children. The U visas, we get 10,000 principal U visa applicants in a fiscal year, and we just learned that all 10,000 have been used up, and the fiscal year started what, October? What does that mean? That means our communities are facing many men and women, usually women, who have been victims of violence and really serious crimes. So I would commend M.S.W and all of us. I would say, look around. I mean, we are all together in this. We have each other. We're sitting next to colleagues. We are rich. And what a privilege to work alongside of all of you to help mitigate some really difficult stuff in our community, in LA County, and beyond. So it's my honor to receive this award from M.S.W. Thank you, Paula.
From Mercedes and Nancy from the clinic staff. Nancy, would you like to come? Thank you especially to Dominique and Tory for all of the work that you do and for all of the wonderful guests you brought with you today. We welcome you. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here this year. I wish you and all of us at M.S.W wish you a peaceful and joyous holiday season. Thank you.